Let's face it, Facebook isn't the easiest platform to work with. Now, this video isn't to scare you out of running Facebook and Instagram campaigns. Far from it. I want to help you, okay? And that's what this video is all about. But I do want to tell you, you're not alone. It's a confusing platform. There's a lot that can go wrong. There's also a lot that you could be doing right. And it could mean a world of difference for your business and the results that you get. This video is going to cover a lot of tips that are going to be really beneficial for you. So stay tuned. Sometimes you just need a second set of eyes on your Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns. Maybe you don't know how to tell if the ads are performing well. Maybe you're not sure how to tell if the ads are starting to perform badly. Or maybe you're just trying to figure out, could I be spending less and getting better results? Hey, my name is Lowell Brown. I'm from Going Social. I run a digital marketing agency here in Toronto, and I work with a lot of local businesses, especially real estate agents, helping them with their digital marketing and their Facebook and Instagram advertising. Facebook and Instagram are still one of the best platforms to advertise on if you're a small business or in certain niches. When it comes to Facebook and Instagram ads, there's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes, yeah, you can get lucky and set up an ad and things just go really well. But majority of the time, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of things you need to look at. There's a lot of things that go into what makes a successful ad. Let's get into the tips I'm going to cover for you in this video. We're going to cover 3 topics here today. The first is how to know if your ads are performing well. The second is when the opposite happens. How do you know when your ads are getting fatigued, when they're getting tired, when they're starting to perform less? And number 3, a lot of times when people create ads, they go with all placements, meaning anywhere that you can serve up an ad, show the ad. And you know what? A lot of times that's a waste. That's not ideal, especially for you as a realtor. So we're going to cover that in this video. So let's get started. I'm going to go into screen sharing mode. I'm going to show you a couple of recent campaigns that I've run for clients, and we'll get into all of that right now. All right, so we're here in screen sharing mode, and what I want to show you is some tips to identify how to know if your ad campaign is performing well. Okay, so let's get into that right now. Now, what you can see on this screen is an ad account from one of my clients that's been running for a while. This was for a new housing development that was opening. So they have a sales office that's not even open yet, and they're collecting leads for the development. Now, in this campaign, I have several different ads running, and they're for different purposes, for different goals. And we're not going to go into that in this video. What I do want to show you is some of the stats that I regularly look at and why I look at them and what you should take away. So the first thing is to come up here, and this little drop down for columns gives you a number of different perspectives that you can see about the performance of your ads. I usually default to checking in on performance and clicks first. The reason is because that'll just give me a good overview of the columns I want to see. Now, if at any time when you're looking at things, you do want to adjust these columns, you can come over and look at the slider and adjust things to make them, wider, shorter. You can sort by the ones that are performing better. You can also customize the columns you see here by coming down to customize columns, and that'll bring up a new window showing you all of the different metrics that you can see. Again, you could reorder things if you wanted to, and you can add and delete, and literally there's hundreds of things, okay? But the main thing that I want to look at, so let's take one of these ad campaigns as an example. We'll look at this one. So this was a video campaign. It was a video, and it was the main goal of the video or the ad campaign was to drive traffic to the website. So what I can do is I can come in here and I can look at the results. Now, this is an overall breakdown. So this was it's been running for maybe 10 days now. So it hasn't been running a long, long time, but I can see that it has generated 519 clicks. It's reached about 16,000 people. The frequency is 1.58. The cost per result is 38 cents. I'm spending about daily. So again, the point here is to give you an overview of what, the major metrics. Links, overall links that, now again, this is a video ad, so I'm not looking to get a ton of links from it, but that's always helpful. And the link click-through rate. Now, what do I look at? The first thing that I want to see is the links. If I see that it's not getting a lot of links after, generally I will let the ads run for about a week before I start really honing in on identifying if the campaign is performing well or not. If you look at it, you launch it, you look at it later that day, you're not giving the algorithm enough time to do its work and to collect enough data on the performance. Even after a day or two, I still find, especially lately in the last 6 months to a year with Facebook ads, you got to let it run a little bit longer before you do any sort of tweaking, any sort of decisions are made. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you set up, keep it that way for about a week. All right, I wanted to jump out for a quick second because this is a really important tip. We're going to say this is a bonus tip for you right now. One thing that I do see some people doing with Facebook and Instagram ads is they will go in and do tweaks while the ad campaign is running. Now, minor tweaks like editing the budget, editing the end date, things like that you can do when a campaign is running. There are some things you don't want to change. If you change them, you could cause the data of your ads to completely go out of whack. You could cause the algorithm to have to restart. So oftentimes, if you're going to do a major change, and I'll tell you what that is in a second, if you're going to do a major change, it's best to actually stop your ad campaign, set up a completely new one, and start fresh from there. Okay, I'll give you a couple examples. Now, let's say you've got an ad that's been running for maybe about a month, and the ad's been performing okay, but what you notice is that you wanted to change a headline. Well, when you first launch your Facebook ad campaign, it goes into something called learning phase. And that's where the algorithm is really working to help identify who should the ad show to, which of the ad creative works well, all that kind of stuff. So when you do a change, first of all, what you're doing is you're causing the data to get muddy because now you've got some data collected from when, let's say, the headline was one way, and then the data is going to be different from when you did that change. And you may not remember the exact date you did that. So the data, if you're looking back on it and you're seeing an ad over a period of, let's say, 2 weeks or longer, you're not going to know that exact time that you did that change. So that can cause the data to become a little bit weird. The second thing is, if you do a change, if you change creative, if you change a visual, if you change even a spelling error in the ad copy, if you change a title, you're going to cause your ad campaign to go back into that learning phase, which means, again, it's going to restart. And an ad that was performing really well after a change could start tanking. So again, it's better to try to avoid making changes if you can when your ad campaign is running. But if you do have to make a change and it's a big deal, stop that campaign, run a new one. Okay, let's jump back into the stats and we'll go over some other things right now. So again, when we're in here, the things that I look at, so if we're looking at this campaign, we've got link clicks. We see that that's getting a fairly good average of link clicks. We can see the reach. Now, if we see the reach is really low and lower than we expected, we can go in and look at, well, why is that? What did I do with the targeting that may have caused this to happen? Now, generally, again, within a real estate type Facebook ad, you're going to be limited on what you can adjust here because it is for a housing placement, which is one of those special placements for ads. You're restricted on the demographic information you can change. So usually reach over here is not going to be an issue. Frequency can be an issue and an indicating factor that your ad is going to start declining in performance. When your frequency means how many times is someone seeing the ad, the same ad. So if I see that the frequency is 1, or in this case, 1.38, that means the average person that's seeing this ad is seeing it 1.38 times. It's not very often. If, however, this gets beyond 3 to 5, that's usually over the standards. That's when the performance starts to decline. Why? Because people keep seeing the same ad over and over again, and it's a psychological thing. If they see your ad repeatedly, they're going to start to ignore it. So usually if they're seeing it for more than 5 times, if it's a cold audience, meaning that somebody doesn't really know you that well, and they're seeing it several times, but you're seeing that the activity is dropping, that's an indicator that people are seeing the ad too many times. Your performance is going to start dipping because people aren't going to take action anymore. They've seen the ad and they're starting to ignore it. Okay. If it's a really hot audience, if it's someone that knows you, it's okay if they see your ad frequently because they already know you. So there's a little bit of recognition there. It's still not the greatest thing, but that's just something to keep in mind. Cost per result, this is really up in the air. I mean, there's no standard that you should follow. It's not like there's any sort of general rule that says, hey, if it's over 50 cents, your ad's not performing well. There's so many factors that can go into the cost that you're going to have per result. The type of ad that you're running will affect the cost. You know, if you're running a lead ad versus a video ad versus a traffic ad, they could all have very different cost per results associated with them. The other thing is the competition or the size of the audience that you're hitting. All of these things could be factors that affect the budget and the cost per result that you're going to get there. So on average, what I've found with most clients, just me personally, is I could get results anywhere from 10% to $1, depending on the type of ad campaign that we're running. Amount spend, again, that's just to make sure you're not going crazy and there was no, accidental error with your daily ad spend. So I keep on that. Impressions is the number of times that your ad has been displayed overall. So that's just something to consider and look at. If you're not getting a lot of impressions, there's something wrong with your ad. It could be the ad creative. It could be how you're targeting it, that kind of thing. But you want to just make sure this numbers keeps going up. Another thing to look at is link clicks. Now, again, depending on the type of ad that you have, you might get more link clicks than others. If I'm doing a video view ad where the goal is to get video views, the goal isn't to get clicks. So I may not see as many clicks, right? If I have a carousel ad versus a traffic ad, the carousel ad's probably going to get more clicks because it's got more than one slide in the ad. So I could have a carousel ad with 3 to 5 slides where people have to click to see different images. That's going to get more clicks than an ad with one image, right? So things to consider there. And then link click-through rate is something that you want to keep track of. If you're getting anywhere from 1 to 3%, your ad is doing well. If you're getting above 5%, you're doing really well. If you're getting really low, not so great. So you'll see that there's one campaign here, which was 4.58 link click-through rate. That's for stories. And this was an ad that we know is declining in performance. We also know that it's limited in placements. So it's only showing on Reels, stories, on Facebook and Instagram. And we know that generally that's more for branding purposes. We're not going to get a lot of necessarily links from that, depending on how we construct the ad. So there are some things that we look at and we consider in terms of those ads. So that's just an overall general idea of what kind of stats that I look at when I'm looking at ad campaigns to identify how are things going. The other thing that I will sometimes do is I will look at different date ranges. So as an example, if I looked at this ad campaign over a period of, let's just say it was a period of a week and a half. Now I can see, let's say I'm looking at this ad, I've got 100 clicks and it was costing me 29 cents a click. And then if I wanted to see the same thing over another period of weeks, sometimes I will do this. You could see how it's jumping in the ad spend. So sometimes I'll look at things like that to identify, hey, well, when the ad first started, how is it performing? And then how did it continue after that, right? So again, this ad was only actually started on the 11th. So when I first looked at that, it again hasn't been running that long to collect a ton of data, but what I could see is changes in the ad spend or the cost per result things like that. And those, sometimes I will adjust the dates just so I can see how is it performing over time in smaller periods to know if, hey, was it performing better at one point in time and is it starting to decline now? Those are things that I look at. So I kind of covered a little bit of number 1 and number 2 on my list there. I showed you the stats that I look at, and I also showed you a little bit of indicating factors that I'll go through in terms of identifying, hey, is my ad fatiguing? Have people seen it too many times? Is the ad spend or the cost per result declining? And those are times when I will dig a little bit deeper to try to identify what's going on. Why is this happening? Is it that people are seeing the ad too frequently? Is it something with creative? Is there some other factor that's going into why this ad is maybe starting to decline, and what actions I need to take next? Now, the next thing that I want to cover, the last part of this video that I want to cover, is talking about placements of ads. And I touched upon this a little bit briefly in the previous explanation when I was talking about different types of ads. But there are some cases where when I create an ad campaign, I don't want to do the default in Facebook. And I'm going to show you that in a second. But there are times where, especially with real estate style ads, there are certain things where if you're showing your ad there, you're going to be wasting your money. You're not going to get really any performance, and it's just a waste. So I'm going to show you when you create an ad, what placements are the best to choose and why. And let's go back into screen sharing mode now, and we'll go through all of that together. Now, I did briefly talk about it, but I wanted to go over an explanation again, just so you understand. With this particular campaign for this client, we were running several ads. We were doing some for branding purposes, so people build up awareness. We're doing some to build up our audience by showing a video. We can then remarket to the audience that's seen our ad already. And then we've got some ads where we're showing in different placements, and I really wanted to control how much ad is being spent there and control the creative separately for only those placements. And those specifically are the story placements. What I found with this particular client, with this particular initiative that we're doing, and again, these are the kinds of things you always have to keep testing with your ads. We found that when we were doing an ad campaign and placements where we were including stories with other placements, generally the story ads weren't performing as well. So what I did was I separated those into their own campaign where I could control the ad spend, I could control the creative separately. And for us, this was an important step, and it caused our other campaigns to actually perform better, meaning that we were spending the money in a better way, getting better results that way by separating out other things. First of all, let's go into creating a campaign here. And I'm going to show you what I mean by all of this stuff. So generally, when you're creating a new campaign, you're going to, let's just click continue here as an example. And I'm going to delete this shortly after, but this is just to show you an example. So when you're in here, the first level that you're at is your campaign level. And you're going to want to put a name there that you will recognize. So I usually have the client's name. I will say the type of ad it is, or the type of campaign that we're running. In this case, it was traffic. I will try to describe what the ad campaign is about so that if I look back later, I'll be able to remember what was the creative just by looking at this or the initiative. And sometimes I have the date there. Because we are running real estate, we have to say it is a special ad category, and that will prevent our ad from getting flagged or disabled. That's another common issue that happens with people who don't know that they have to do this. And then we can go to the ad set level. At the ad set level, again, you're going to give it a name. You're going to describe the type of conversion you want. So when we originally set this up, we wanted the conversions to happen on a website. What does that mean? Well, that means we're driving traffic off of Facebook to a website. And that's where we want a conversion to get a lead. That's called a conversion to happen. I could also have done a lead format if I wanted to. If I structured this different, it would show here. So there's different sort of ads that we can do. We could run ones that are going to strictly open up into Facebook Messenger or Instagram inbox kind of thing, into chat. So in this case, we're doing that. And then we come down and you can set your budget. You could set your start date, your end date, and then audience here again, because we're in the housing you're limited to what you can adjust here. You can't adjust anything in terms of age or gender. You can target by dropping a pin and doing an area. You can't do as fine-tuned targeting as you used to be able to do. And then placements here is at the bottom. So Facebook will default you. By default, they always select this Advantage Plus. That means that you're leaving it to Facebook to choose for you where best to run this ad campaign. And even when I speak to Facebook ad reps, they say to do this. Do not follow that advice. Why? Because in the end, Facebook is going to show your ad to more placements. You're going to spend more, and the other placements, they're not going to convert as well. So what you want to do is you want to come in here and click manual placements. It's really important. And then what you're going to see is which platforms. You've got Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, and Audience Network. Wait a second. What's Audience Network? Well, Audience Network, this you want to disable. I'm just going to say that right away. Audience Network is basically sites and apps off of Facebook. So you're not on the platform anymore. They're properties either owned or partnered with by Facebook. And your ads could be showing in apps predominantly. That's where it is. And these are places, again, where you're not likely to get the best performing activities on your ads. So I don't recommend them. So take that off. The other thing is if you don't intend to interact with people in Facebook Messenger or in Instagram in the inbox, disable those as well. If you are interested in doing that, I would almost recommend you run a separate style of campaign where you can specifically run campaigns with a chatbot or with something else so that you're engaging people quickly and regularly with a message. Again, like doing your sales calls, people want a response fast. So if you're going to do a messenger ad and you're not going to be responding to people within a few hours even, I would say don't bother, because people want that contact right away. And what I find is the majority of people aren't available in terms of realtors. They're not available, ready, or willing to stay on Messenger to be able to respond to people quickly with that respect. So you want to look at Facebook and Instagram. And if you scroll down here, this is going to list all of the different placements that you could have for your ads. I would recommend you disable search results. What this means is when people do a search in Facebook, do you want your ad to be in with all those other search results? People aren't generally going to be looking for your real estate stuff there. So I wouldn't recommend that. In-stream ads, video reels, I wouldn't recommend that. And again, reels on Facebook and Instagram, this is one of those iffy things. You have to test it. And if it works well for you, great. If not, you've got to adjust your ad campaign. Also, if you're not adjusting your creative for the appropriate size. So if you are not designing special creative that is tall as opposed to square, then your ad's not going to look as good. It's not going to get as much activity. So if you don't have the ability to adjust your creative, don't do stories and reels. What I will sometimes do, like I explained earlier, is I will do a separate campaign and only focus on stories and reels. And that's it. For the purpose of this, what I recommend you do is get out of all of these other placements, Instagram Explorer, Facebook Business Explorer. What you want to mainly focus on is the feed. You want to focus on the Facebook feed, the Instagram main feed. Stories and reels are great as well, but those are the best performing placements that you're going to see. And I recommend you go with those. If you're doing video, then by all means, you can go and click in the video feeds or other things that the in-stream ads over here, those might work as well. But in-stream ads mainly means that your ad may come up in between other people's stories and reels. Again, hit and miss, you gotta test that. But the majority of the time, this is what you really, this will honestly save you some money, and it'll ensure that your ads perform a little bit better. Because if you're starting to look at your stats and you're seeing that, hey, I'm paying more per click, or I'm not getting as good click-through rate, it's oftentimes because your ads are being shown in places where people aren't going to engage with them. They're not going to act. So that's why we limit these placements. I know it kind of sounds like, hey, my ad's only going to show in a couple places, not as much as is available, so I'm not going to get as much traffic. Well, I'd rather have better traffic in placements I know people are going to click than having my ad show where people aren't going to click. That just means my results aren't going to happen. So that's what I would recommend that you follow. So that's it. I know we covered a lot in this video. Again, if you are looking for help with your Facebook and Instagram ads, check out the link below. You can book an appointment with me. We usually do these over Zoom where I can do screen sharing with you and I can go through, jump into your ads, look at your ad performance, look at your ad creative, even to help you get your ad campaign set up. I have done this with realtors all the time where they're just overwhelmed by what you can do within Facebook. And I'll walk you through and show you step by step so that you can start doing this on your own in the future. So if you're looking for help like that, by all means, check out the link below on this video. You can set up an appointment with me and we can go through that together. And if you're doing things by yourself, I hope that this video was helpful for you. I hope it gave you a little bit of insight onto what to look for to find out if your ads are performing well, what sort of triggering factors you can look for when you want to identify if your ads are starting to decline or not performing well. And that's when I would typically stop those ad campaigns and set up some new campaigns with new creative and test again. So that's really what it's all about with Facebook and Instagram ads, is you want to keep testing and testing and testing. And even if you've got something that's working, it's not going to work forever. So you have to have a plan. What are you going to do next? The lifespan of ads on Facebook and Instagram, it's not as long as it is on other platforms. So in most cases, I'm not setting up creative and leaving it for months and months and months. No. You don't want to do that. You got to really check in on these things. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Again, if you have any questions, ask me in the comments or hit me up with an appointment. And you may want to check out some other videos that I've got here, which are going to help you with your Facebook and Instagram marketing campaigns. And also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe on this video so that you get notified when I create any new videos. And I do have more coming up for you for different Facebook and Instagram tips. So stay tuned for that. Once again, my name is Lowell from Going Social, where we take the complicated out of digital and social media marketing and make things a little bit more easy for you. I'll see you guys in the next video.